Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. This is going to be a cool tone makeup look. This was requested by a lovely subscriber of mine to do a look using all cool tones, and I hope that I have been able to capture that really well for you. And I thought I'd do that because I do like a good cool tone eye, and I am here for the glitter, the cool tone lip with the kind of pink cool tone cheeks. So I think it turned out really well. Obviously this is the end result. So we're going to kind of rewind a little bit, and I'm going to take you through the steps of how I got here today. So if you want to see, then just continue watching. Quickly, before we get into the next few products to finish the face, I wanted to tell you what I already have on that I applied off camera. I am using the Maybelline Stay Skin Tint in shade number 110. That's what I have on over the Matte Grip Primer from e.l.f. And then for brows, I went back to one of my old school favorites. It's the Dip Brow from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I wear the shade medium brown. As you can see, I've used this and loved it very, very much. So I have that just using an angled brush right through the brows, and I did fill in some little sparse areas that don't actually have hair growth with the L'Oreal Faux Brow Pen, which is one of their new releases that I have already reviewed. And then I went ahead and set my brows with the Anastasia Brow Freeze Gel. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. And from here we need to do some bronzer and then of course blush, but we wanted to do some cool tone colors, and so that's kind of why I pulled like a cool tone gray shirt from my drawer so that I can kind of give you that sort of cool tone vibe. I do like a good cool tone eyeshadow, so we're going to be using this new palette from Charlotte Tilbury, but I do want to do some bronzer, kind of bring some life back to the skin, so let's go ahead and do that first. I think I want to do a little bit of contouring because contour shades tend to pull a little bit cooler. If I just put on bronzer, it's going to add a lot of warmth. We'll get to the bronzer in a minute, but I do want to do a little contour first. And I figured I'd give this Face Trace contour stick from Westman Atelier another shot. I've had this for a long time, probably over a year, in the shade called Biscuit, and it is a very cool tone shade that is ideal for more fair skin to contour. There's several different shades, and I have this little mini. Again, I wanted to explore more from Westman Atelier, so last year I bought a few minis, and so I'm just going to use this as my contour. I'm just going to do a little bit to start right here in the hollows of the cheek, maybe around the temples, out here on the outer part of the eye, and maybe let's do a little bit on the nose. I typically don't do this, but you know, I'm trying to do things differently, and I figured why not. I'm going to go in with my Makeup by Mario F4 brush, and I'm going to start blending this out. This does blend out very nicely. It is a very pricey product, but it is very good, and I do like it. I do have her highlighter stick, which is a little bit more, slightly more balmy, and it's really nice. It's pretty. I don't reach for it very often, and I do need to use it more because these, you know, Westman Atelier is a little bit, it's a little out there in price point, but her products are really good. The ones that I've tried so far, and I feel like her products just look so beautiful, the packaging. So if you've tried Westman Atelier, what are some of your favorites from her brand? And I'm using the smaller side of that F4 brush. It comes with an angle. One is a little larger that you can use for bronzer, and if you're doing contour or something a little bit more precise, the small side is more ideal, which is why I'm using that. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but I figured I'd kind of tell you that because I want to keep my contour very concentrated to that specific area to kind of carve out the hollows of the cheekbone. I don't want it to be too spread up, far up this way, and I don't want it to come down too low. Next up for bronzer, I'm going to go to an old favorite of mine. It's from the Give Beauty line. This is the Gwen Stefani makeup line that you can get at Sephora. This is the Pick It Up Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. The shade is called Heatin' Up, which is the lightest shade. I'm going to go in with this color at the bottom. That's the powder one. This is a slightly lighter bronze tone that isn't super warm. A lot of my bronzers in my drawer give you that very bronzed tan look to the skin, and I want to kind of keep everything as cool tone as possible, but I do want to add that warmth and that life back with the bronzer. So this I feel like is a nice kind of happy medium in between, and I'm going to use my BK Beauty 107 brush to blend this out. And I'm going to just start adding a little bit of warmth to my skin and bring back the life. And it's one of those steps that I actually never skip because it feels odd now that I do bronzer every single day, and I have been for years. It just, I can't go without. And this one is actually really good. It comes with a cream, which is not my favorite. I love the powder. I wish that they would just release the powders individually. It has a very distinctive baby powder kind of scent So keep that in mind if you're considering this product, and if you don't like fragrances, you're not gonna like it, but the formula is beautiful, blends super well, never have any issues with it, and I love it. And this is the perfect shade, heating up for fair skin tones. We're gonna shift gears now and focus on the eyes. I'm gonna go into that Charlotte Tilbury palette. This is the Charlotte's palette of beautifying eye trends in super neutral. So this is the one that has the most kind of cool tone vibes out of the palettes. There are several different tones. There's one that's more purple, one that's more warm, one that leans very blue. This one is the one that is described as a super neutral, so it's an everyday type of look and colors, but it does have some kind of cooler browns, which is definitely up my alley, and that's what I like to do when I use cool tone looks. And I'm gonna just kind of use this palette predominantly today for an eye look. I'm going to start with the lightest shade in the very center of the top row. That is a light kind of skin tone type shade, and I'm going to use that right over my primer to set the primer and allow for easier blending. And the primer that I have is a Too Faced Shadow Insurance. So I'm going to just take that color on a BK Beauty 212 brush, go right over my eyeshadow primer, and then we're going to use the same brush, which is that 212, and I'm going to start carving out my crease. And I think for this, I want to go to the shade right next door, which is a very kind of cool tone brown that has quite a bit of gray in it, and this is number 3, and it's also a matte silk formula. So I'm just going to dip my brush in there a couple of times, picking up that color. I'm going to tap off the excess, and I'm going to start sweeping this into my crease again to carve out the shape, give me some more dimension. I'm going to work on the lower lashes, and I kind of work in steps here. So since I use that light shade in the crease to give me a little bit of cool kind of definition there, I want to take that same color and run that on my lower lashes. And I'm going to have to switch brushes for that. I'm going in with my BK Beauty 204 brush. Again, that same shade, the number 3. Tapping off the excess. And I'm going to run that on the lower lashes from the outer corner all the way in. And I'm going to stop right here where my inner corner is, because we will do a highlight there. I don't want to bring anything too dark into the inner corner. So basically stopping about right here. So all the way from here, all the way out. Switching to yet another BK Beauty brush. This is the 204. This is kind of like a pencil brush, but it's just a little bit fluffier, and I want to pick up some of the more gray tones in this palette, and that's going to be at the very bottom, and that is going to be another silky matte finish, and that's shade number 7. This one is very gray, so I'm going to pick a little bit of that up. And what I'm going to do with this is tap off the excess first. I'm going to use this to blend out that color on the lower lashes and just bring in just a little bit more coolness to this look, and use that to soften and blend out the edge of that more medium tan shade that I used earlier. Now I'm going to go back up to that upper eye area, and I want to add a little bit of depth to the outer crease before we do any shimmer. And there's a few shades that I want to use, and I wanted to show you these shades here. So this one is a little bit more kind of few shades deeper than this first one that we used. And then here at the bottom, this one pulls very warm. Gives you an idea there. You can kind of see that this one here pulls very warm. So it's kind of giving you a little bit of warmth, but it's not super warm. The whole palette itself doesn't lean that warm. So I think for this look, I'm going to go in with this shade here. And this one again is another silky matte finish as well. And I'm going to use a BK Beauty 205 brush, which has a bit of an angle. So it's going to allow me to kind of stamp right out here in this outer V, but then use that angle to wedge that right on this part here. And feel free to use as much or as little as you want of this shade. You can definitely tailor my tutorials to your preferences by adding more, adding less, kind of skipping some steps, subbing in something else that you have, and just kind of rock that color back and forth to add a hint of coolness right outside of here and a little bit more depth. I don't want to do anything super crazy and dramatic today. I just want to keep it kind of simple, easy to follow. I'm now going to go back to my 212 that I used at the start of the tutorial for blending in some color to create some shape to my eye. I'm not picking up any extra color. It's whatever's left on that brush. I'm just going to go right on the edge of that to soften and blend where that darker brown meets into that transition shade that I applied. And I'm just going to do circular motions right out here. This palette offers you 3 different colors and options to do something sparkly on the lid. So it's gonna be right diagonal from the top corner to the bottom corner, right through the very center of the palette. Those are the swatches of those shades. So I think they're really pretty. You have that really icy kind of silvery look to it, which looks like this. And I don't know if it's just my lighting here, but there is like a subtle, very slight, like a hint of blue, just kind of like a sprinkle thrown into that, or maybe it's just because it is a true silver that it kind of comes across. Maybe my lights again, so keep that in mind, but that is very icy and bright. This one here has a little bit more of depth to it, whereas this shade here is a little bit more transparent, like a topper. This one has a little bit more depth and more of a bronze. That's that very center one, which is called a crystal chrome. And then that first one is a diamond dimension, so it gives you that kind of diamond glow on the lids, which is beautiful. And then the final one is another diamond dimension, that's number 9, and that one has a little bit more pink to it. So those are, again, are the 3 shades in case you have not seen this. And I think we're just gonna kind of mix the 2 lightest shades, so the top one and then this bottom one. This looks incredible. I'm gonna just kind of press this right onto my lids. Oh yeah, this is stunning. Just use my finger, kind of pat and press from inner corner right into where it meets. I don't want to cover that matte color, but I just want to kind of tap where they meet together. And look at that sparkle. Yes, I'm here for it. I've been into my glitter era for eyes and lips, and this fits the bill. Look at that. And then if you want to do something a little extra, you can go into that light shade. I'm just going to use my middle finger here. I'm just going to kind of tap lightly to pick some of that up. And I'm going to pop this right in the very center of the eye, just to add a little bit of dimension and a little spotlight almost right in the very center. So when the light catches it, it just hits a little bit brighter in the very center. Look at that. So pretty. I love. Can we just take a moment to admire how beautiful this looks? This looks wet, dazzling, sparkles. It looks like crushed diamonds on the eye, and I absolutely love these shades. They're soft. You feel a little bit of particles because it has glitter, and you know, you're gonna feel some of that, but when you're putting it on and you're feeling it between your fingers, it's not rough, it's not jagged pieces, it's a very sophisticated form of glitter, and I'm here for it. For liner, I think I want to use a little bit of a shadow liner for the day. So I'm going to go back into that eyeshadow palette, and I'm going to pick up that deepest shade, which is a very cool tone, dark brown. I'm going to use my 204 brush, which I use all the time. It's such a handy brush. And I'm going to tap off the excess of that eyeshadow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look down into my mirror, and I'm going to stamp that color right at the root of my lash, as close to the lashes as I can get. Do the same thing on the other side. The final steps for this eye look is a little bit of tight liner, so I'm going to use my Waterline pencil from Urban Decay in the shade Legend. This is a great waterline pencil that stays in place, especially in that delicate area around the eyes, and it doesn't transfer, it doesn't move around. So I'm going to use that to kind of fill in the gaps in the lashes, make them look thicker. And then I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Exagger-Eyes Volume Mascara. This is wonderful for length, thickness, drama. It separates the lashes, gives that really beautiful fanned out effect, kind of like a butterfly look to the lashes, where it's not clumpy, but there is lots of drama. And the component is glass. So you pay a premium for it, but it comes in a beautiful packaging. We're going to work on some blush while the mascara dries. I have some blush options, and I think I'm aiming to use a powder blush. I think I'm going to go in with some Kosas today in the shade called Butterflies. This is such a pretty color. I love this formula. I'm a huge fan of baked formulas because the way they are created in the labs, they're baked. They just sit differently on the skin versus traditional pressed powders, and they just kind of mesh and become one with the skin. I mean, come on. Is that shade not beautiful? Stop, right? Love so much. Next up, for a little bit of highlighter, I went through my collection and I picked like the iciest, most cool tone ones. And I remembered that I had this one from Makeup Forever. This is the Wherever Pearl. This is the Artist highlighters. This is stunning. I love it. So I think I'm going to use that. But the other one that I had is shade Opal from Makeup by Mario. These are the Soft Glow highlighters, and it's icy. It almost comes off kind of like white with a hint of silver to it. It doesn't get any icier than that. So if you're looking for a very cool tone, bright highlight, this is the one you want. But I love the Makeup Forever highlighter. I cannot stand this packaging, by the way. Gets on my nerves, but I forgive it because it's stunning. So I'm going to pick that up on a Sephora Pro 98 brush, tapping off the excess, and then I'm just going to tap on the tops of the cheekbone. Beautiful. I also took that highlighter and applied just a touch of it in the inner corner and also as a brow highlight, and I use this tiny little brush. This is the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A504. It's a kind of wispy, very thin crease brush, but it's perfect because it's so small. It fits right in that inner corner. It's also great for doing any sort of lower lashes, like smokiness there. So now let's move on to this lip combo because I am excited. We're gonna do a cool tone pink lip, which you know, if you've been watching my videos, how much I love a cool tone lip color. It's just beautiful. So I'm gonna start with the Pillow Talk Fair lip liner from Charlotte Tilbury. I will swatch it so you can see the color. It's like my lips but better, and it is just absolutely beautiful. So I love this fair tone, but the original, I've used like 4 or 5 of those ever since I discovered that many years ago. I love that. It's a classic. It's one of her go-to staple products. Of course, anything Pillow Talk is. So we're gonna line and slightly fill in the lips with this lip liner. And I'm going to top that lip liner with the Pillow Talk Fair lipstick. This is really pretty as well, the two together. You can see there, that's a swatch of the Pillow Talk Fair. And it has like a hint, like a subtle hint of warmth. It's a nice pink shade, so I'm gonna kind of mix some shades together, but I'm gonna start with this first. And here quickly is the combination of the Pillow Talk Fair lip liner and the Pillow Talk Fair lipstick. So I will be adding on top, but I wanted to show you that before I change it. I want to add a little bit of lightness to this and just a little bit more of a kind of cool vibe. So I'm going to go in with the Blaz'd Donut. This is the Gloss Bomb Stix from Fenty. It's a very pale kind of nude, and I'm going to use this in the very center. And because I am obsessed with the lip oils from e.l.f., I have to use it and plug it into today's video. This is the Candy Coated, so this is part of the line with the shimmer, and Candy Coated is my absolute favorite. It's a light kind of cool pink with some blue and purple reflex to it. It's stunning. You have to see this in person. It is incredible. The formula is top notch, the best that you can get, high-end and drugstore. So I'm going to use that right over this combination. Do you see that sparkle on my bottom lip? I love this so much. And here we are. This is a full face of cool tone makeup. I hope that this was enjoyable. Thank you for watching this video. I am very pleased with how this turned out. I'm using some really great products, things that I do enjoy using. Of course, that sparkle in the eyes. I have been in my glitter era, as I said earlier. I love it. And this combination, I've actually worn these two together these last few days over the weekend as well. And that was just kind of my go-to lip. And then now topping it with this. Stop, right? Look at it. It's so beautiful. And the complexion looks nice and fresh. Not too matte, but not dewy, greasy looking. It's just kind of healthy because of that skin tint from Maybelline, which I really do like. And that kind of cool tone pink on the cheeks definitely fits the bill for that cool tone vibe. So now that we have the tutorial out of the way, I kind of wanted just to plug in a little bit of a rant here. I have seen a lot of mostly negative. In fact, pretty much everything that I have seen on social media, whether it's long form content or in the shorts over on TikTok, about this Beautifying Eye Trends palette from Charlotte Tilbury. This shade, all the shades, is that it's extremely expensive, $60, for something that lacks pigment, blendability, cheap packaging, it's smaller. So I just kind of wanted to throw in my 2 cents. And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm a fan. I am a fan of Charlotte eyeshadows. And this is not it. I have more. Minis, palettes, you name it, I own it. I like her products. I think that her products come with a premium because of several different things. We're talking about formula. We're talking about the fact that it's Charlotte Tilbury. She's a very famous celebrity makeup artist, so you're going to pay for that as well. The product packaging is always elevated, super beautiful and special. This is an older palette that's no longer available for purchase, but look at that. It's a piece of art, okay? Another palette. Again, it's a work of art. Do you see how stunning that is? Okay. The little minis, these little pop shots, she brought them back recently. Super, super pretty. And even these that are just a little bit smaller, seemingly more basic, they're not. Got something really special going on here. Even this one, look at that. Super pretty. So I'm a little bit biased because I do like this brand quite a bit. I own a lot of Charlotte Tilbury. People are saying that this is very expensive, $60 for a small little pan. Yes, it's smaller. Okay, let's go ahead and get that comparison out of the way. This palette was from last year. This is the Beautyverse palette. Really beautiful, really special. This formula up here, something really different. Of course, it's larger. Different packaging, slightly similar with the layout, okay? But different packaging, obviously a little bit more elevated and definitely more luxurious. But this was $75. People gave some feedback, very negative, about the price point and how astronomical her prices are for her products. She made it smaller, changed the packaging, and lowered the cost. And still, people are not happy about that. Yes, it's smaller, but will you actually use all of this in its entirety? Probably not. There's a lot of product in here, and if you have a collection of things, you probably have options. If you're a content creator, you definitely have more options, and you never finish anything, because I, as a content creator, very small, might I add, I've got tons of makeup in a special room, and I can't ever finish anything, so I can't knock it because it's smaller. I'm never going to finish this small one anyways. Yes, the packaging is a little bit different, and I'm not going to say like extremely cheap. This is a little bit cheaper than something like this. But again, the price is lower. So keep that in mind. If they're going to scale back the price, I would rather get less quality packaging than less quality inside, okay? Because you want the inside to remain that quality that we're used to getting for that Charlotte Tilbury price tag, right? But imagine if she would have given you really nice packaging like this, or this, but lowered the quality of what's on the inside and still charged the same. People would be upset. Even if she lowered the cost and gave you beautiful piece of art on the outside, but the inside is just not worth it, it doesn't blend, no pigment, you'd be upset. So I don't understand. It's like everything she does, people have something to say negative. These little pop shots, she brought them back. $30 a piece. $30. People thought, wow, that's crazy. They're stunning. Beautiful, creamy, luxurious. Okay. These, great. Everyday staples. Love these so, so much. Okay. Talking about price point. Everyone's complaining about the $60 price tag. Okay. These quads, right here, it's 4 colors. And these are just under $60 for 4. They're like maybe 56, 57 bucks. And here we have the new palettes, $60, more shades than what you get in these, okay? And then you have these palettes here. So you're kind of comparing them. Again, similarity. So I had to throw in my 2 cents because I feel like no matter what she does, what she launches, what her prices are, her packaging, her formula, everyone seems to be more wrapped up in the negativity of her formulas and her launches versus thinking about, let's compare that to some of the other palettes. And I'm comparing it just to Charlotte. I can go down a rabbit hole comparing this palette and packaging, quality, price point to some other palettes. I've paid this price or more for eyeshadow palettes. I paid Pat McGrath prices for a palette that was absolutely trash. I'm going to say it. I said what I said. Trash. $128. But nobody says anything negative about that, right? I don't understand why. Because that's crazy. Wild. $128 for a palette? Mine is blown, right? And no one is complaining about that. When I hear about Pat McGrath, everybody's just like loving all of that. But when it's Charlotte, it's, why would she charge that? That's just cheap. I can get something better. Yes, you can get the same colors. Absolutely. This is a super neutrals. I use it today for a tutorial, as you saw. You can get these colors in other palettes and other brands, of course. But if you are a fan of Charlotte Tilbury, you're going to like this. These mattes, silk. Absolute silk, the way these blend out. And these, you saw how these went on. They're beautiful. And I'm going to just put my 2 cents out there and stand up for her because I love her products. I have never been disappointed with anything that I've purchased from her line. And I feel like we need to kind of take a step back and think, what are all these dupes and affordable options at the drugstore? Who are they trying to do? They're trying to do the Charlotte Tilbury thing. Hollywood Flawless Filter took everybody by storm, and now every brand has a Hollywood Flawless Filter. She creates products and colors and tones that people are trying to do. Brands are trying to jump on that because they see the hype on it. They see that people are buying it. They see that people are using it. You see it on celebrities. So they're trying to tap into making money off of that same thing. So like creating the drugstore version of Pillow Talk. L'Oreal did it. I love L'Oreal. I'm not knocking it whatsoever. It's my favorite drugstore brand. But they have the Worth It shade. It's their version of the Pillow Talk. They have it in liners, in glosses, in lipsticks. It's beautiful. But no one is saying anything about that, right? So brands are trying to jump on the Charlotte Tilbury train because she creates products that are very beautiful, ethereal. There's just an aesthetic and a vibe that you see from those products, and it gives you the beautiful looks. And every time I use it, I love the way it looks. And brands are trying to create that because of something she started. The contour wands. Don't even get me started on the contour wands. Everybody has one. Every brand has a contour wand. And who did it? She did it. That is my rant for the day. I gotta stand up for my girl Charlotte. That's that on my thoughts and my just thinking out loud about what I've been hearing about this palette. So I hope that was helpful. Maybe help you kind of decide whether or not you want to try it or try something from her line. And I think you will really enjoy it. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, for being here today. Thank you to my lovely subscriber that requested me to do a look using all cool tones. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you want to see more, let me know what your thoughts are and your recommendations, what you want to see next, any sort of requests for videos. I'm all ears, so thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in my next video. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.